What is going on, everybody? This morning, EA Sports released their deep dive for franchise mode in Madden 22, and there is a lot to talk about. For the first time in several years, it appears that there are substantial changes to the game mode in the right direction. So if you're excited for more Madden 22 news and content, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new so you don't miss out on anything. So it's been no secret throughout the past year or two that franchise players have wanted more in the mode, and it appears that EA has finally made some pretty big changes, and they went over a lot of those here in the deep dive that they uploaded on their YouTube channel this morning. So some of the talking points include staff and staff points, weekly strategy and game day integration, enhanced season engine, hub updates, tuning, scouting, and more. So it seems like we're really going to have a different franchise experience for the first time in quite a while. We're going to start with the staff, and it's been no secret that people have been wanting coach trees in franchise for the longest time, and it appears that we're finally going to have that. Obviously, you're going to have your head coach, offensive and defensive coordinators. Unfortunately, it does not look like the coordinators are the actual team's coordinators, which does sort of suck a little bit, but this is definitely better than what we've previously had. There are also player personnel as well, which I think is an underrated addition. I noticed that this screen was very similar to that of NCAA 14, with the only difference being that Madden's looks a little bit more advanced and professional, but it seems like EA really used a lot of the things they did well in NCAA 14 and put that into the staff stuff here in Madden 22. I also noticed that you can hire former players as coaches, just like in NBA 2K, which is really good. A common theme that you'll see throughout this video is Madden using things that other games have done well and implementing them here into franchise mode. I also want to talk about the talent trees. You can upgrade your coaches and coordinators and make them a lot better. Again, very similar to NCAA 14, in which you could get skill points for your coaches and give them perks. This is pretty much a copy and paste of that here into Madden 22, with the only big difference being that you would use staff points to upgrade your coaches. Staff points can be earned in a number of ways. I believe you can earn 100 staff points just for pre-ordering the game, and there are also in-game goals, which if you complete, you'll earn a certain number of staff points, and you can use those staff points to make your coaches and coordinators better. So overall, I really like what Madden 22 is doing here for staff. Let's talk about scouting now. And scouting has been very bland for the longest time, and it seems like it's going to be a lot different. It looks like you'll be able to hire scouts and put them into certain regions of the country, and they will scout players who play in set regions. It looks like you'll be able to hire scouts in the West, Central, Northeast, and Southeast, which I think is really cool. Again, you'll be able to hire former players as scouts, along with other scouts as well, based on how good they are. Some of the scouts have more experience, they have certain positions that they're really good with, and certain positions that they're really bad with as well. It really seems like scouting is a lot more realistic and a lot more advanced this year as well, and it's going to be, I think, a little bit more challenging to draft good players, which I think is good. The regional scouting reminds me a lot of MLB The Show 21, in which you can hire scouts, put them into certain regions, and each scout has a region that they're best in, and they scout players faster in those regions. Madden's isn't exactly like that, but it is somewhat similar, so I think scouting's going to be a lot more interesting this year. They also showed the new draft screen as well. Players' stocks will be able to go up and down throughout the season. You'll be able to give players like invites to your facilities and give them a pre-draft workout, which is also something implemented from NBA 2K. It seems like scouting is going to be more personalized this year. You'll be able to see which players fit well with your teams. And I think scouting, again, as I've been saying, is going to be a lot different, obviously, and a lot more advanced. One of the other features they talked about was mock drafts. And for those who don't know, I am a gigantic mock draft nerd, so this is very exciting for me. As I mentioned, players' stocks can go up and down based on how they're playing, which is very similar to 2K, along with having mock drafts. I think Madden really sort of copied 2K when it comes to the draft this year, not only having mock drafts, but also how player stocks can improve and go down based on their performance in college. I think this will give a new real-life feel to the draft in Madden, and that's something that's been needed for a while. Keep in mind, scouting will not be put into the game until September, so I think it'll be the base scouting until then, but it does seem like the draft is going to be a lot more fun this year. Let's talk about dynamic game day integration and game planning. For the first time in a while, game planning is actually going to be important. I've never really had to prepare for an opponent in Madden, so now actually being able to game plan based on what the opponent does well and what the opponent doesn't do well is something that's been needed for a while. For example, if you're playing against a guy like Lamar Jackson, you'll have an opportunity to figure out if you want to limit him in the pass game or limit what he can do scrambling. That's never really been an option in the past, so that's going to be really nice. It also seems like practice is going to be more important. I think you can probably upgrade your players if they practice a lot, but they'll also get fatigue and possibly injured, so that's going to lead to some tough decisions if you want tough practices or easy practices, which again, I think will provide more storylines and it'll feel more like real life. Halftime adjustments are also a thing, again, similar to the game planning. It'll actually feel like you're a real NFL coach trying to dissect what your team is doing well, what the opponent is doing well, and what you guys are not doing well. Something Madden did add to franchise a few years ago was the scenario engine, which has been a pretty good addition, although it's fairly basic, and it appears Madden has sort of upgraded that a little bit. It feels like there are going to be more unique scenarios. There's going to be press conferences and cutscenes. For example, look at this one with the Seahawks. Pete Carroll's talking to Russell Wilson about their rookie wide receiver, Dwayne Eskridge. They're saying how Russell Wilson and Eskridge have a good chemistry, and I guess sort of similar to past Maddens, this would be sort of like a breakout challenge for Eskridge. If he gets a certain amount of yards or touchdowns or something, he might get a dev trait increase, which I think is similar to what it's been in Madden, but it'll feel more like real life, rather than just a screen that says, hey, Eskridge is playing well. If you get him 100 yards, he'll move up in dev. So again, game planning I think will be similar as well in these press conferences, as you can see with this one with Andy Reid. And it appears that Madden has also finally changed the menus. A lot of the important stuff is going to be on this home page on the left, such as playing the game, scouting, free agency, trades, etc. The goals are going to be on the right. It seems like the news tab is going to be back, but it'll look a little bit different in comparison to what it's looked like the past few years, which I do think is good. There's a whole managing roster section, so you can look at other teams. You can focus on re-signing players, trades, injuries, depth chart, etc. And there's also a league tab as well, which is really cool. You can see scores from the previous week, and you can see some top stat performers as well, which I think is going to be very interesting. So that will conclude my breakdown of Madden 22's franchise deep dive. Although we've been rightfully critical of EA in the past few years about how they've handled franchise mode, I think you have to be really excited this year. It appears they've finally made some improvements. Are there stuff that Madden is missing in franchise? Yes, absolutely. But this is a very good baseline, and if you're a franchise player, you should be coming out of this deep dive very thrilled and very excited that EA actually cares about franchise mode this year. So I hope everybody enjoyed the video. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'm out. Peace.